What is going on, everyone, and welcome to a Dose of Magic Live, the live show where we talk about all things Walt Disney World Resort. I'm Ryan,
And I'm Brett.
and we are excited. This is one of our first installments of our new series, The Life of a Blank, where we talk about different Disney content creators, people in the Disney community who are going to work every day and giving us a little bit of that Disney magic that all comes together to give us our Disney community. So it's going to be a chance to spotlight everyone. It won't happen every week. It'll just be every couple weeks, but we're excited to have it starting now. And we're going to do it with an ex-Disney College program cast member. So we're going to dive into that a little bit later. But before we get into that, you guys know the drill. Brett, what is going on? You were just down in Walt Disney World for a little, we'll call it a drive-by, doing a quick little in and out for a couple of days. How was your trip?
It was a good trip. I'm not going to complain to escape this cold weather up here, but it was definitely a tease. So we flew in Thursday night after work. So we didn't touch down until like 8:45-ish. So then we went right to Disney Springs to meet the group. And we stayed at Saratoga Springs. So we were able to walk from Disney Springs right over, which was really nice. First time I've ever experienced that.
Super cool.
Super nice.
That's a nice spot.
Really nice spot. Yeah. So they were able to get one of like the DVC villas. So we were in there for the night. But then we woke up the next day and we did Epcot. And Epcot was the only park that we were able to get to during our time down there. So overall, amazing day. Was able to see new nighttime show, Luminous? That was
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's what it's called.
What did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was super good.
Nice.
I am also just a sucker for like a Disney fireworks soundtrack, and this one nails it. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. It was a good combination of like a fireworks show, which I feel like Epcot hasn't had like a really great fireworks show in a long time. So
Harmonious wasn't horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
I liked Harmonious.
Nice combination of that, a little bit of water feature. So overall, super good. I liked it. And then the Festival of the Arts was happening. So
I was gonna say you got to experience that, which is cool since we just talked about it. What did you think now?
So my favorite festival is still Food and Wine. And I came to that agreement that we are there for the food. It's a very cool festival. There's like a bunch of like booths kind of scattered out throughout all the countries, and all these people just bring their artwork. I'm assuming like Disney asked them or they have to apply, but each tent has like a ton of like either drawn or painted or whatever kind of photos. And I was interested in a bunch until I looked at the price tag. Very, very expensive. Support some of these people. I respect the work, but just not in my budget this go round.
Right.
But overall, super good trip. Love just to like dip the toes in the parks. Feels good to be there. Also, first chance to see Moana, Journey of Water.
What did you think of that?
I liked it. I also enjoyed that. I thought that was very cool. Perfect for like a hot day. I feel like that's a great way to just like just go stick your hand in some water and like get splashed by some like residual fountains. Like that's really nice. We really enjoyed that. And yeah, I think that was like the TLDR. Obviously, we were in there for the full day, stayed through the night. Obviously, walked the countries, did a bunch of stuff, but those were the big highlights. So really good. Really didn't want to leave. Wish that the rest of the days we were also in the parks. But days after, stepbrother had some soccer tournament, so we were there. We watched some soccer games. We did go over to Universal. The City Walk, which this is a Disney podcast. We don't talk about them.
Yeah, the park of which we do not speak.
Yeah, the park of which we do not speak. However, their City Walk does have a ton of great food options. And it was just really good. It killed like 3 hours for us. We were able just to walk around, walk the water, went to the chocolate shop. Like there's a lot to do there. So it was really good because the hotel we switched to was only about 3 minutes away. So that was a really good time. Enjoyed it. Didn't go into the parks at Universal, but did City Walk, and you got a game respect game when you see it, and they do have it in the City Walk. So
yeah, I know. On the record, has nothing on Disney Springs. We're loyal Disney. But off the record, after this recording, it's a pretty cool spot. I'm glad you got to go. That's a good spot.
Yeah. So
That's
overall,
cool.
wish we could go back and do more, but it was good just to get down there, rejuvenate the Disney fuel for a little bit longer until we do a big trip there.
Love it. Yep, we're due to get down together, and I'm looking forward to that day. That'll be the day that we'll have to make a big to-do once we get
Yeah,
down there.
for
That'll
sure.
be a lot of fun. But I'm glad to hear you had a good trip. Even though it was a quick one, like you said, any time down there at the motherland is a good one, so that's
Way.
great. That's very satisfying, so awesome. Good to hear. We are going to jump right into it, though. We have a lot to talk about today. This is going to be, as we said, our new segment where it's going to be called Life of a Blank. We are going to interact and connect with different people in the Disney community. And today is no different. We have Jake Tavormina, and he was an ex DCP, which is a Disney College Program cast member. And he's graciously offered to come on and tell us and give us the deep dive details of what that was like from start to finish. So maybe you are wondering, or maybe you want to apply yourself, or maybe you're like, Ryan, I'm way past college. I'll never get to do that. But these are people who are in the parks every day and make that magic for you. So please feel free to ask some questions, learn a little bit about it, and get to enjoy it because this is a really cool opportunity. So without further ado, this is Life of a Disney College Program cast member. Now let's get Jake on the stage with us. Hello, Jake. Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
We certainly can. We certainly can. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're very excited to have you. Jake, why don't you give everyone a quick little rundown of, who you are, when you were down there, when you did this program, and what area of the program you were in.
Gotcha. So what's going on, guys? I'm Jake Tavormina. I did the program 2 years ago now. So in the spring of 2022, fun fact, I literally just applied they actually do a summer alumni program for past participants who've done this CP before. I literally just applied for that. So could be back this summer.
Nice.
But yeah,
Run it back.
Yeah, as you can tell, I love Disney because I want to go back. But yeah, so spring of 2022. And I worked in Magic Kingdom parking. I know you're probably thinking you worked at a parking lot, but actually it's better than it sounds.
I'm sure. I'm sure it has its own challenges, but you get a chance to really see so many people every single day being in parking. Were you there for the entire duration of your program?
I was. Yep.
Gotcha. And how long was the program?
Mine was I was there from February to June. You can actually extend though up to a year as long as you can extend to, but I only was there till June. So mine was almost 5 months. But yeah, so they can range from 4 months to a year. It all depends on your life and what you want to do.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So when, Jake, then take us to the very beginning. When did you know that you wanted to do this? How did you hear about it? When did this get on your radar?
So I actually have a twin sister, and she wanted to do the program before I did because we grew up families DVC. We went to Disney every year, and she heard about it. She's like, "Oh, I want to do that." And he was like, "You know what? I love Disney. I want to do it too." So I just went on the whim one day and I applied, sitting in my dorm room, and then like a week later, it's like, "You're accepted." I was like, "Oh, like I'm moving to Disney World." Like as growing up going to Disney, it's like I want to work there. I looked up to these cast members. I thought they were so cool. I was like, I want to get in on that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So did your twin sister also do it?
She did apply. She unfortunately did not get in.
No.
Yeah.
Ooh. Is that a sore spot in the family, or do you rub it in?
It is a sore spot. If she's listening right now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry again.
I'm sorry as well. We definitely don't want to bring that up. That'll be the last question that we ask about that. But Brett, that was exactly what was going to be my next question as well. So when you heard back, then what was the interview process like? Take us through that a little bit.
So I lucked out when I first applied. It literally was like a normal job application. Literally right after that's like you're a strong candidate. I did a web-based interview. So a lot of the questions were like on a scale of like 1 to 10, how likely do you agree with something, like that kind of style. Yeah. It was that. And after that is like you're a strong candidate. And I found out a week later. But they changed it now. Phone interviews are back. So I did some research on that because I didn't have to experience that, but I will have to experience in a week now that I did just reapply. So the phone interview adds like a whole new thing, and there's a lot you should do to prep. You can actually watch on YouTube. People record They're interviews. You're not supposed to do that, so don't do that now. But people have recorded them, so you can learn how to do them and ace them.
Oh, it's very cool. So it's a very competitive interview, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. And some important things to remember when you're doing it, I looked it up, is think of the 3 roles that you do want to do and explain why you think you'd be good at them, because they're going to ask. So the whole point is to see, 1, if you're a fit to work at Disney, and 2, like, are you qualified to do it? Do you have the passion to work there? So definitely keep note cards of that. And remember Disney's 5 keys, which are safety, courtesy, inclusion, show, and efficiency. Try to work those key words in there because they're always looking for that. It's their big thing, those 5 keys they try to stay true to. So if you can somehow remember those things and work them in, they will work to your advantage 100%.
That's great advice.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody is looking to join the program, definitely be taking notes, because that's a great free tip from somebody who literally went through it.
Yeah,
how to cheat. And you kind of mentioned it, and I was going to bring it up as well. Like, did you get to pick what area that you worked in? Did you get to choose that specifically, or did you just generally apply and then you get placed somewhere?
Yeah, so when I did it, you had no say. Legit, you were, the only thing you could say is if you wanted to be a lifeguard. That was it, because then you have to make sure like you're CPR certified. That was the only thing they asked. Everything else is like, whatever I get, unless you submit like medical accommodation. So if you can't work with food, stuff like that, chemicals, then that's a different story. But I went in there being like, dang, like I don't get a say. So they just threw me. It was random. But now they give you like 10 role options. So like custodial, food service, like very general, and you can click highly interested or low interested. I'm going to tell everyone, it doesn't affect you if you say low interest in custodial. Like, be honest, because they will use that to put you. If they see low interest, maybe they won't put you there, but it's no guarantee. Don't think because you only like say attractions, high interest, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
Yeah. Right. At some point they got to fill custodial. So.
Exactly. And I've heard good things about custodial. People actually love it. So it gets a lot of hate, but people say it's the best role. You get to wander around the park. Like, just imagine just sweeping around Epcot for like 2 hours. Like, that's pretty chill. Like,
yeah. Now that I think about it, like thinking about the cast members in that role, nobody bothers them. Like, they don't necessarily have to be doing anything, or like they have to be in character and on stage, but they don't have to be kind of uppity. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I agree completely.
Interesting. And like you said, Brett, somebody's got to fill that role. Somebody's got to get
to do it. Someone's got to do it.
It's going to be someone.
That's
super interesting.
Dang. So were you upset? What was your hope going in there versus what you got?
So of course my hope was Tower of Terror, because that's my favorite ride. So that's a really high hope to have. So, I applied like, oh, it's going to be so cool. Parking never crossed my mind. I forgot that was even a role I could get. Like, who thinks to work at a parking lot at Disney? It is ironic. I found out my role when I went to Disney World with my friends on a trip. And literally when we landed back in Philly, I got like my role. I looked and I was like, all my friends were like, what did you get? What did you get? I'm like, parking. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, parking. And I'm like, I don't know. So, but I looked out because at that time, Magic Kingdom had the trams running. So you actually got to drive the trams and like spiel on the back, kind of like a Jungle Cruise skipper, because you could make jokes. So I went with that, and it was so much fun. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. That's kind of funny. It's like the Sorting Hat, where you get your assignment and everyone's like, oh, what'd you get? What'd you get? And then it's like, you put it on and it's like, parking.
Exactly.
No, but really, what I get?
No, exactly. What do you mean parking? I'm like, it says parking. I don't know.
Parking.
Now,
like, yeah,
I don't know if you're gonna know this answer, but are roles like decided for like, would full-time employees get higher priority of picking a role than Disney College Program versus part-time? Like, do you know how the hierarchy works? And like, because you said obviously you want Tower of Terror, right? But I'm sure anybody who applies there is like full-time wants Tower of Terror as well. Like, would they get that over a college program person?
Oh, it's by a lot of times it's like seniority by years. So if like you work for the company for like 5 years, like I know when I was working at parking, like the Tron was about to, like, they were looking for cast members for Tron, and everyone like in parking was like applying for it. But people are like, well, I've only worked here for a year, so they're not going to pick me. They're going to want like more of a veteran cast member. You're opening up like an attraction like Tron for the first time. Yeah. So it's going to go to your more full-time. The seniority is going to come in and play, which I think is fair. Like, my little CP shouldn't be coming in and taking something like Tron from someone who's putting like time and dedication and working for the company.
Right.
You know?
especially if you're only going to be there for 4 months.
Exactly.
By the time you get trained and like do it a few times, you're out, and then they got to find a replacement.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
such a good point. And I do agree with you. You know, as much as everybody wants it, for something that's brand new, that's going to have a lot of traffic, you want some of the veterans there. You want to make sure it's under control and done well, especially because it's going to get a lot of press. And if anything
Mhm.
goes wrong, that's the first thing you'll hear about.
Yeah.
So it does make sense from a business standpoint. Quick little plug for anybody who's live and watching. This is a live show, so please throw in your questions in the chat. We are going to be checking those towards the end, and we will do some audience questions towards the end. Just wanted to remind everybody that you feel free to throw in your questions, and we'll definitely try to get to them. But back to some of our questions. Now, you did the interview. How many steps was the interview? Sorry if you said it already. Do you
No,
recall how many stages?
when I first did it, it was legit 2 steps, and I found out now it's about 3. You do the first application, you get the phone interview. I just got that. You do the phone interview, and then I'm assuming that web-based interview is going to come in, and then they're going to email you with your role. Not sorry, they don't email with your role yet. Let me take that back, because what's going to happen is you're going to get into the program, and then about a month out, you'll find out like your tentative role. So my tentative role was parking. I didn't find out I was at Magic Kingdom until like a week before. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, so like some people's role,
Wow.
even though it was parking, it could have changed to custodial. So you really don't know. So when you like apply, you're basically saying, like, I'm sure, I think it's in the fine print somewhere, like you are accepting any role. Like, I am open to, here's my consent to anything. So
Yeah.
it was nerve-wracking.
So now, go for it, Ryan.
My last question, Brett, then you can throw one in there. Do you get credit for this from your college? Because I assume you'll have to miss a semester for this. Is that correct?
So I got credit. I know other people who didn't get credit, but I don't recommend. Everyone's different. I did take online classes there. I don't recommend it. If you can take the semester off, do it, because I was up at like 4:00 in the morning, like doing courses, like hating my life. It was terrible. I would not recommend it. So you can do both at the same time. Some colleges don't give credit. Mine did, and I did do classes. But if you can take the semester off, and I say go for it, so you can really like just take in the program. But I know a lot of people who did classes, and we'd be all in the community center together being like, why do we do this?
Yeah.
Like, this is
Definitely.
So once you're down there, right, you've been accepted, it's time to go. How does like the roommate work? How does the lodging work? Like, was Flamingo Crossing open?
Yes. So I lived in, there's East and West. I lived in East. But here's the thing. You don't have to live at Flamingo if you don't want to. Some people choose, like if you're a lot older and you're doing the program, they choose kind of not to. You don't want to live a bunch of, like, I get it, 20-year-olds. Yeah. But I chose to live there. I honestly, finding an apartment in Orlando is hard. And then finding roommates, like, it's just so much easier. Like, just take the housing. And that way too, like, I didn't have my car down there, but they provide buses to get to work. So that's free transportation. And the buses also will take you to Target some days, so you can go grocery shopping. So you get that perk by living at Flamingo. The roommate situation is you can link with a roommate, but you have to have the same date. So we have to be there on the same day. Like, me and my friend would have to be there, both getting there like tomorrow. That's how you can link. I went in random. Honestly, you will hear horror stories on TikTok. People with their roommates. I'm sure people have seen them. My roommates were chill. To be honest, I never saw my roommates. Andrew was great. He was like my sweet mate, but like, you're never in your room. Honestly, you're at work or you're at the park. That's how I look at it as.
Yeah,
so,
sure. It's kind of like college. I mean, some people came in very random. I did a random roommate my first year, and we still to this day are one of like the best of friends. So it's funny how that sometimes works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Exactly. It's really the luck of the draw, really is. And there's 3 options of rooming. So there's a 2x2. So that means like there's there's like 2 rooms, and then I was in a 2x2, legit like a board like this in between you and your buddy's bed. So that's kind of a little weird. Like our feet could touch in theory. Kind of weird.
Wow.
Yeah, that their privacy is like this flimsy board in between you guys, which is like a little weird. But like I said, you're never there, and you share a bathroom with them. There's a 4x2, so then there's 4 bedrooms, but you share a bathroom with somebody still, but you're not in like the same room. Or there's a 4x4, which is 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. 2x2 is going to be your cheapest though. They take out your rent money weekly right out of your paychecks. You don't even see it. Some people are really big on like 4x4. I want my own stuff. I'm like, listen, it's so much money. You're not making any money to begin with. Just take the 2x2 and run with it, because you'll save so much more money. it's like $100 cheaper a week.
Yep.
So that's
And
why.
if you're not there as much as you think you are because you're working so much, right? Like a big thing that I've heard is that the Disney College program, you work ridiculous hours. Is
Yes.
that true?
So for me, it depends really on your role and where you work. I worked at Magic Kingdom. So of course I was working like 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. like every day, 6 days a week. They advertised 2 days off. I never got 2 days off. I can't tell you when I got 2 days off a week. I always got 1 day off. Like I worked probably an average of 60 to 70 hours a week. But my friend, she worked at World of Disney. She was just getting by because they just have to schedule enough for you to make rent. So she was getting like 30 hours, like making no money. I mean, and there everyone's like, Jake, you're rich. I'm like, I guess rich for Disney college program, but like it's still not that I'm not making no money.
Right. You're like, but I can't come out with you because I'm working.
Exactly. You know, I'm always working, where a bunch of my other friends are like, oh, like I just got 30 hours. Like I don't have money. I'm like, yeah, you can go to the parks though. I'm always working here though. Like,
Yeah, that's
but,
funny.
so it all depends. But if you are like, if you're merchandise, for example, like World of Disney, you can pick up places so easily because it's merchandise is the same everywhere. Me, I could pick up at like Animal Kingdom parking lots, but all roles like that you can pick up to make more money. Some people would do because some people are like, I have no money. Like I'm not making rent. So they would pick up.
That is crazy to me that they would bring people in and then they wouldn't be able to still like afford to live where they're at.
Exactly.
That does surprise me.
And if that happens, and like they'll take your money out of your next paycheck, like you'll have a negative paycheck will hit your account. If like say you call out a day, you will get a negative paycheck if you don't meet it. I never had that happen, but I know people are like, yeah, I'm negative this week, so I guess next week we'll see. So
Oh my gosh.
be careful
That
with calling
is
out. Plan it out
wild.
because you could be making then no money. So
Dang. So if you're in the negative, right? Let's talk here. What like do they have like a cafeteria that's like you get like swipes? Like what does like your perks look like for in the college program that
Question.
makes it in the event that you have a negative? Are there any safety nets? I guess is the question.
So in the sense of food, no. Like you're kind of if you're don't know how to finance your money and you're negative, there is no cafeteria there. At which everyone we always say is there should be a cafeteria here. If they did that, that's all that Flamingo is missing. You have a beautiful pool, a beautiful gym. There's a vending machine, you can get sandwiches, but you still need to pay money.
Right.
So it's like they need a cafeteria because also like it's a hassle to go all the way to Target to get your food. You got to bring it back, and then you have to cook in your room, which you know you have a full kitchen. But here's the thing: one of my buddies, his roommates were disgusting. His kitchen, he couldn't cook in it because the dishes were everywhere. It was a mess. So it's like
I see it daily. I work at a college. I get it.
yep.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's like I mean, I lived off Lunchables. Like in my like break room at parking, there was Lunchables. That's all I ate. Or I brought a box of Cheez-Its to work, and that was like my meal for like the week. Like I didn't really eat because I was just always working, or I didn't have time to go food shopping. So I'm like, nah, I want to go to the parks. Like I'm not going to Target. So
yeah, sure. Then I guess bring us into the parks, right? What was something that surprised you in your role that you didn't realize like until you started working there?
the first thing I realized is like I'm the first person so many people are seeing. Like I am the start of the magic for the day. So like that was like in a way, like was a pressure on my shoulders because it's like, dang, I want them to start them off like on a good note. Some people make that very difficult though to start off on a good note, but like that's running through my head. Like I got to put on this show of being good and like being happy, being the magic for them. So that was something that like surprised me, and also just like how much like efficiency going back to like a Disney Key runs like through the Disney company. Like everybody in parking plays an important part of like making the show happen, and you wouldn't think that for like parking, but like it's so true. So everything, like every job in the company like is a part of that show, and if you're not hitting your mark, you're affecting that, and you don't want to do that. So it's just interesting that like something as small as like you think like, oh, park your car is so important though. So yeah.
You got to keep the flow going, right? You got to get all of the traffic in and just keep it going. It's like one giant gear that just needs to work in the cog.
Do you have any horror stories like while working?
Where do I start?
Well, no.
All right, I'll start with this one just because this was legit like my first day on the job in my costume. I'm out there, watch some woman like literally pee her pants. I was like, this is my first day. I was like
she couldn't make it, or
no,
like was it a medical thing?
I don't know. I don't know. And I was just like,
You said to be efficient, I have to move on, ma'am.
I know. Please keep going. You're holding up the line. Like, keep moving.
Come on.
Yep. That was my first day on the job. Like, I'll never forget. I was like, what is happening? I was like, this is
I picture the weeks leading up to it, like you're daydreaming, you're envisioning
Yep.
what it's gonna be like.
Yep.
And your first day on the job, you just watch a woman and you're like,
I'm like, and then like her daughters were so embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God.
oh man. That is probably so traumatizing for that woman too. It's probably her worst day of her life.
Exactly. I'm like, this is just wow, what a bang to start.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Like,
that kind of leads me to my next question is like, let's get into it. What was some of the biggest drama behind the scenes that most attendees and guests don't see? Like, what did people have a lot of roommate issues? Did cast members not get along? How was that? Did you see a lot of that stuff?
I will say, like, some people might disagree, but to me, the college program felt like high school in some aspects. Like, there is so much drama. Especially like, important thing is like, I worked with a lot of other college program kids, and you kind of want that because the full-time cast members and part-time a lot of times hate the CPs because they look at us like, oh, you're only here for 4 months. Like, you don't get this. Like, you haven't been here for years, which I get, but like, I'm a hard worker. Like, I'm here to work. Like, I could see if I'm like messing around, but I wasn't. But there is so much drama between, especially like the college program kids, like over like your typical high school stuff, like who likes who's dating who, which I would not expect. Like, what? But it's such like high school in that aspect. Like I said, the full-time cast members like are always like arguing over, oh, like you got more hours than me, you got this, you got that. It's like, I don't make the schedule. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, and you'll see like those full-time cast members I have respect for though, because they care so much. It's like their life.
Sure.
I respect that. They care about making the magic. So they don't like when CPs come in there like goofing off, messing around, not caring, So it's valid. Like, I understand. But it's like when I would get the attitude, I'd be like, I'm here to work though. Like, I can see, like, no, like I'm doing a good job. Like, don't come at me.
Right. You get like I'm put into the umbrella just of being a DCP, but
exactly.
It's an interesting dynamic. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. But there is so much drama, and people too, like who put into like a lot of full-time people, especially in like parking, they want to transfer out. So like that's another drama too. Like, oh, who put their transfer into like, I think it's called like transfer genie is literally what it's called. So you can put in like a transfer to go to like Tron, for example, and the drama between that, like, oh, did you hear so-and-so put in a transfer to go here? Like, oh, they're not going to get that. No way they're going to go there. So it's like, I don't care. Like, let them live their dreams.
It's like Mean Girls.
It is. And I don't think people realize like that, especially that's a big thing, that CP dynamic versus full-time, part-time is, and where I worked at least was really very real. So that's something to go in mind and think of, like remind yourself, especially too, a lot of people will say like DCP stands for like closing, the C is for closing shift, because we work all the closing shifts because all the full-time people get first dibs. They want the morning. So especially when you get thrown in the morning for the first time and you're with the full-time people, they're like, oh, who are you? And like, oh, I'm a college program. Like, oh, like, and I literally had someone say to me one time, like, I'm not going to learn your name because you're not going to be here long. I was like, thanks. It's right here on my name tag.
Cool. You said I'll be here the whole time I work here. Thank you.
Yep. That's like, my name's Jake, but all right. I won't learn your name then either because I'm only here for like a short time.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
The pettiness.
I know.
Exactly. It's like, I didn't choose to be put here, like I just got put here.
Right. I got a question, and it goes back to not drama. It actually was one of our earlier topics, but when you were talking, it like triggered a question. So inside parking, how many different roles are there, right? You said there's the tram, but then you would also have the ticket booth. You have the person who parks the car, right? Like how many people, what roles would you do on a day-to-day, and would it change from day-to-day?
So the ticket booth is actually, that's Auto Plaza. You can get cross-trained in that. I never did. I didn't want to do Auto Plaza for Magic Kingdom. As you can imagine, that line in the morning, I've heard terrible stories about it. So like, I didn't want to handle money like that on the, like, no, I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So with how a lot of the roles work is you pull a position. So you clock in and then you go on a computer and you'll get like your position. So with parking, you could be on a tram driving it. You could be spieling. You could be parking cars. You could be, there's like it's called Villains Point. So you're at the top of like the parking, directing the cars like which way to go. You can be in handicap parking. I had a terrible experience in handicap parking. I got told that someone literally looked at me and said, "Oh, you think handicapped people are an inconvenience?" And I was like, no, because our trams don't stop at the handicap parking lot. One, you can't get a wheelchair in there. Two, you're the closest lot to get inside. It just doesn't make sense. So they were mad at me for that. I was like, I have no control over that.
Like you set the tram trail.
Yeah, like I'm like, yep, I made the stops today. I decided like, no, we're gonna miss you guys. Like, oh, that was terrible. I was like, I don't think that's not what I think at all. Like you should really say
you're like,
something.
I just clocked in like a half hour ago.
Exactly.
Like, I didn't even think about that yet.
Exactly. I'm just like, come on, just walk. You're like 2 feet away. Like I know it sucks, but please just go.
Yeah.
And there's also there's tram walking. So like you're in charge of like, making sure people get on the tram, make sure everyone's seated. You send them if they're good to go, which I always like doing that because like you're helping people get in the tram. They're excited. The kids love the tram. So that was always fun to like interact with them. I don't know if you guys know, like they have like the monorail trading cards. Do you guys ever see those before?
Yeah.
They have tram ones. So I would give those out to kids, which was fun. The trams is really too. So I love stealing personally because I felt like I was a Jungle Cruise skipper because that gave me some freedom to like really make magic. So that was always so much fun to like, steal some of the Jungle Cruise jokes. You can throw some in, make it your own. So that was
fun. That's super cool. I imagine that after work, if you ever met up with friends and all after work, you guys share stories or share jokes and like kind of come up with the next content, the next joke of the day.
Yeah. Or like if you're tram walking and you hear the tram coming, you hear somebody saying something like, "Oh, I'm gonna steal that." Like that's so funny. Some people will come up with like the funniest stuff. I was like, dang, how'd they think of that? So it was always fun to like hear what people would have to say. So that was always
fun. Should we jump into some audience questions?
I would love that. Let's see what's going on in the chat over here.
Yeah. Let's start off strong.
Okay.
Do you know any cool Disney secrets from Robin?
Any cool Disney secrets
that you can share? Anything that's like
that I can share?
I mean, if you know where Walt's frozen body is, feel free to let us know.
Somebody literally asked me before, like, "Yo, have you seen it?" I was like, "No, that I have not seen."
It's part of the day one ritual. They just pull the curtain back.
Could you imagine? That'd be so cool. Any cool Disney secrets? What's a good one that I can share too? I think.
It's okay. We can come back to it. How about this one? This is a good one too. From somebody with interest in joining the program, how easy was it to make friends? And are there a lot of activities set up by the program to make friends and to get people together?
So for me, my biggest recommendation for anyone doing the program is join the Facebook groups. That's what I did. And you'll find your arrival date. And then a lot of times there's a group me and you put all in a group me. So literally my first friend group I made was from that Facebook group. And they were my friends from day one to this day. So highly recommend put yourself out there, join the groups. If, like the first day we all got there, we went resort hopping, go do that. I'm an introvert. So like I was like skeptical, but I was like, just go. Literally made all my friends from that day, moved on. Like we were all best friends and still are to this day. So put yourself out there. I know it's hard, you're going somewhere with a bunch of people you don't know, but take advantage of those group chats that are out there and just go to the events. I mean, Flamingo does hold like welcome parties for like your first day when you get there. So that's another good way to mingle. Also, the people you work with, like I said, I worked with a lot of other CPs. So like I had 2 friend groups, like my work friend group and like my just everybody at Flamingo friend group. So just put yourself out there, join those group chats, and that's the best way to do it.
That's cool. Were you able to go to any like cast member exclusive like parties or like when a new ride opened up or anything?
So actually I did the cast preview for Guardians, which was so much fun. They literally let us just go on it. Like I did like 5 times in a row, just got back on. That was so much fun.
So cool.
Yeah. They'll do cast member events at night. So like they'll shut down the park for just the cast members. I did that at Magic Kingdom. One thing I regret not doing is they have like I don't know what it's called. Like they have like a website where the CBs can sign up for like backstage tours. They done Tower of Terror? They do like Star Wars. I never signed up. Take advantage and sign up. They will give you off for those days. If they see that you're like scheduled to go, they won't schedule you to work that day. I never took advantage of that. That was always my biggest regret. But once they open, you have to like be ready to go because they fill up like that. So that's another fun advantage to take advantage of when you're there. I did not do it, and I regret it to this day. So definitely do that.
That is a good point. Did you guys get to go out after? Like, did people get together a lot after work, even though you're tired, even though the
Mhm.
days were long? Was there still a lot of social nightlife? And if so, what were some of the best hotspots to go to?
So what sucked for my role is I always worked till like 2 a.m. So that was kind of hard for me to go out. But if we went out, there is a party bus that'll come and take you. It's this club called Frogs. Senior Frogs. You can go there. Jelly Rolls. Do you guys know Jelly Rolls?
We do, we
Oh
do.
yeah, that's a huge spot to go there and just have a good time. Those are the main. Frogs and Jelly Rolls was like the spot to go to after work if you weren't working. Or Cowboys was another one, which is like a country theme bar in Orlando. Those are the three main spots that like. And I know at Frogs they'll do like a CP night, so you'll get in for free and stuff. So
There you
yeah,
go.
there
So
is
that's another
a
way to
nightlife.
mingle.
There is a nightlife. It is like it is college. It is basically college, but you're working at Disney, which is cool.
That's cool. Super cool.
That is awesome. This is a very good reminder just from Jason. Remember to thank the amazing cast and crew members who are working in the park. They are the keepers of the magic. So just a little shout out there, without a doubt. We have Yvonne coming in here. Do you plan to apply when you finish college, which this was 2 years ago? So technically you are out of school. Is that correct?
Yes, but like I said, the summer alumni program, you can be. I could have done the alumni program like 5 years ago, and I could still do it now, which is cool to give that
Gotcha.
opportunity to us to come back. So
That's cool.
Neat. So do you see a career with Disney? Like, do you want to keep it going, or was this just a cool experience that you want to do again and just kind of add to the resume?
some days I want to go back and make it like a full-time career. Like it's so like tempting to do. Like I would love to do it, but like I see how much cast members struggle who do it full time and who like you really have to get like in a good like a leadership position to make it more. But a lot of them commute like an hour and a half away. It's like hard because
Wow.
it's so expensive to live in Orlando if you want, unless you have roommates, if you want to live with like 6 people. So it's hard because a lot of them live, like I said, like an hour and a half away. You're just getting by. Like there was that whole, I don't know if you guys remember that whole strike thing with the cast members to try to get more money because you
I
couldn't
do.
live. Like there were so many like stories we hear about cast members who'd sleep in their cars like after work because they couldn't afford to live anywhere. So that's like the part that like turns me off where I think about doing it. But it's like,
That is crazy.
yeah, it's sad. It's sad because
That's
like
such like a bad kind of just it puts a bad taste in your mouth
it
for that
does.
experience.
It
And I don't
does.
want that to be the overall takeaway from many people,
Mhm.
but I appreciate the transparency that you're giving, that
Mhm.
it's not just all pixie dust and glamour,
It's
that
not.
there is a lot to consider with this experience.
And it's a shame because they put in so much cast members. We put in so much work day in and day out, verbally like abused by guests some days, not to be like a Debbie Downer, but I've been chewed apart for no reason. Like, it's like mentally exhausting some days when you're just getting ripped apart. And it's like, dang, like, it's like frustrating because, it's like, I should be making more like, and I'm getting like screamed at for no reason. Like, it sucks.
Yeah,
Mhm.
For sure.
there's a lot that goes into it.
Mhm.
We have Brielle jumping in here. What is your favorite restaurant in Disney World?
Oh, all right. Yachtsman Steakhouse. I don't know if you guys ever been there.
Oh,
So
a
good.
man of good taste.
So good. Oh,
That is awesome.
I love
It's
that.
really worth making some money there. Everybody else was in negatives. I said everybody else was
Yeah.
in negatives. And you're like, hey, Yachtsman.
You would be in the negatives if you go there.
Definitely. That's that's
good.
funny. You go there knowing that the next two paychecks are just zeros.
Exactly. And then you go to Beaches and Cream right after for dessert, which is so clutch. You don't get dessert there. You walk just over to Beaches and Cream. That's like a minute walk because it's right there. Oh, it's so good. 10 would recommend.
Sounds very good. That leads to a good question. Did you get discounts, I guess, on the food and on the stuff? Like what kind of perks came with the job?
So you got your self-admission pass, you go to the parks whenever. I mean, there was blackout dates, which is understandable. So like, a lot of times like during Christmas time or like holiday weekends, you're not getting in the parks, which is fine. It's because I'm scheduled to work anyway. So it's not like I could even go if I wanted to. Like I know I'm scheduled.
Right.
But you do get a discount. It's annoying. It doesn't like, it's not everywhere. It's only like at your sit down restaurants. Like if you're going to go get like a Mickey bar, you're not getting a discount on that. Merchandise, merchandise will get a discount. When I first got there, they do this thing for cast members around like the holiday season that carried into like when I was there, it was like 40% off merchandise. That's what I did on my shopping right when I got there because 40% off. I bought everything I could have wanted then because like that's such a nice discount.
Yeah.
That's a nice perk. Mm-hmm.
That's a good.
Did you ever go to Cast Connections?
I did. I loved Cast Connections. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about that. I found my favorite lightsaber I have hanging up over there. It's $8 I got it for, and it works perfectly fine. Instead of spending like $20, $30, there's some good finds, some good shirts you'll find in there, pins, lounge flies. And you also can get chicken tenders there, the Disney Parks chicken tenders. So if you're a big fan of that, there's produce and food in there. So people, we go in there and buy like bags of chicken tenders. We go home, cook them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For anybody listening, Cast Connections is basically a merchandise store for cast members only. That is basically things from the parks that are now at like a super reduced price that they can shop at. So it's a good perk for cast members to get, as Jake just mentioned, a lot of things for like half the cost, and he's having Cosmic Rays nuggets every night, which I'm jealous.
Yep, exactly.
So
very jealous of that. Going back to Brielle again, for your role specifically, how did you bring the magic each and every day? What was it that kind of kept you going? What you mentioned, the cool part that you get to be the first touch of magic that people see each day. But that's got to be exhausting to try to keep doing that after, the sixth long day in a row.
Yeah.
How did you keep going?
It was honestly the kids make it for me. Like seeing them smile when it's their first time there. It's like little things being like, "Oh, good morning, princess," makes their day. They're so happy to be there. We had stickers, giving out stickers would make their day. They get so excited over like it's little things like, seeing kids smile and seeing them be generally happy to be there. The kids who don't have the iPad, who are generally like invested and ready to be at Disney World. That's what kept me going. Just like seeing them be happy. It's like, oh, I remember those days when you're just, you don't know what to expect. You just want to get in the park. It's like, it's them. It's them who keep you going.
Yeah. So I feel like we could go off on a tangent forever and ever. I'm going to finish this off with one more question unless Ryan has anything.
Nope. Bring us home.
Has working at Disney ruined the magic for you now going as just a regular guest?
For me, no. It's actually, if anything, made it better because I appreciate it all so much more now. I think it's different for me, though, because in theory, I didn't work in the park, which I liked. So, like, I was outside of the park. I don't visit the ticket and transportation center all that much. So it's like, it doesn't really ruin anything for me. Like, I like going and be like, oh, that's where I work. That's cool. But for me, it just makes me appreciate the cast members more. And like, I make that extra like step and mile to be like, thank you to every cast member I interact with. I don't give them a hard time. Like, I understand, you appreciate it more, So for me, I just love it more now.
When you go back now as we'll call it a civilian, as a regular, do you ever say something to cast members? Like you kind of like slip them a smirk and you're like, yeah, I was a cast member too. That type of feeling.
I do that, but like I picked up even like because I used to get annoyed sometimes like if it was a stressful day and like a cast member be like, oh, like I deal with that too. But like great, I'm so glad you deal with it too. But like I'll make a comment, just be like, I worked here too. I appreciate what you do, like stuff like that. Because like one cast member to another, you got to appreciate what they do and the stuff they put up with, especially those people in the parks. I don't know how they do it. I didn't have to deal with that, so.
Yeah, I feel like if I was there and I got like my role and it said guest relations, I would withdraw. I'd be like, I'm not doing that.
One of my friends, she did that. Oh, the story she told me was just like ridiculous. The things people think and assume or think they're entitled to is like, people thought they were entitled in the parking lot. Like, can I park closer? I have kids. I'm like, everybody here has kids. If I let you go, I gotta let the whole row go. No, go down. Like that was
I have kids
thing. I'm like, congratulations. So does the next car.
Right.
Yeah.
No, follow the lines. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep going.
That's crazy. Yeah, there's a spot for you in lane Z. Actually, I think all the way in the back. The tram will be here in 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah. That is insane. Well, Jake, I feel like we picked your brain a lot. We answered and asked a lot of questions. So thank you for taking the time to dive into all of that and to giving us, a couple minutes of your time to really relive that. And, good luck with the reapplication and the interview process. We hope to see you down there soon. We're definitely going to be following you and through that process, if that does come to fruition. What is the likelihood as somebody who's an alumni of getting that again? Is that kind of like a guaranteed thing, a higher percentage chance thing? What's that like?
I want to say it's a higher percentage chance. I know this year though, because I did it for the first time last year, but this time they're like being more like trying not to let as many people in because they actually overstaffed last year is what I was hearing. So like get your applications in, so the sooner the better. So if anybody's listening and you're an alumni, apply now because it could fill up. So, yeah.
Great tips.
Very good. Well, I think that's where we're going to wrap this episode up. Jake, thanks again for hanging out. We found out prior to the show that Jake is actually extremely local to us. So I think a new friendship just formed here.
I think so. I agree.
But thanks again for coming here. Thanks for letting us pick your brain. And anybody who's listening, who's live, thanks for hanging out. And if you're listening later, hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at A Dose of Magic Podcast and Facebook, where Ryan will post about this week's episode. You can join us for future episodes. Not next episode, but the one after that. We are doing another day in the life of a Disney photographer. So come on back for that episode. We are super excited for that. But until then, we will catch you next episode.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.